Hey, welcome to Sasane, doing another tutorial here on Trials. We're gonna make 4 switches, activate 1 event, or 7 switches, activate 1 event. You see this? So this is pretty much the code. You have to set up, so to every hit area trigger, you have to say select all area triggers, all of them, multi-select, and select to the ball. Then select each individual one with an area trigger. So pretty much what's going to happen is the object instances from here is targeted to the ball object info 1. So it's going to send the player ball is going to send a coordinate to the hit trigger, and then the hit trigger is going to send a coordinate to here. But really what it's doing is this is sending a signal here, and this is sending a signal to here. Then when the ball touches the switch, then it'll pass a signal to the main event. So you have to set up the 2 links with object instances. So as again, you go in, select your first object hit 1, which is the player, and then your second object, which is the switch. When they both meet, it's going to send the main impulse over. Understand? You do that 7 times, and you're good to go. So since we kind of fucked up here, we're going to say like that. So we're gonna say 8 then. You know what I'm saying? Well, we're gonna say 7, 0, this is. Okay, so this right here is the operation. So you have 4, I think 4 or 5 operations, then it will be coordinated to numbers. So this is going to be operation 1, and you could decrease or increase. So then you have like a value switcher. Then you could like pick which out of the 4 or 5 switches you can with the increase and decrease value. So you're using math, adding and subtraction to pick your value target. That's usually how code works in Trials. It's all about math, but it's simplistic math. I'm gonna move this so you can actually see all the codation values. There's a constant interval being pumping in. On true, after all 7 are activated, you will activate it on false or on true. You figure out which one comes first. So I think what's gonna happen is it's going to go on false. So when all 7 activate, it tells you on false because it's already saying on true. So as soon as I click on it, it's going to adjust, it's going to play the adjust sound, adjust down, but it's going to play the button 1. So we're going to play the first sound. Okay, the first sound, that's that tone, and we're going to play this tone. Just this tone. When we press play to play it, it's probably going to play that tone because we see it already. We don't even need to verify. And then if we say equals, right? And then as soon as we start, we could just make a trigger to say equals then. and then it'll play true. You see what I'm saying? Because it's decreasing the value. Now it's equals. It was not equals, now it's equals. Now it's false, so on true. That's what we want. See what I'm saying? We're not going to do that though. We're not going to fuck up the coordination because I'm thinking that the two are getting activated at the start anyway. But I don't have my headphones on, so I can't be I can't be, be sure. So what we're going to do is we're going to individually select each individual platform. Okay, so pretty much what's going to happen here, guys, is for each individual platform, there's going to be an event that's going to be triggered here. See, we selected all the points of contact. Yep. Oh, we don't need these events. So we're gonna just say delete, okay? So you ready? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna activate a color event for each individual color code. You see right here? We're gonna multi-select all the color codes, and then we're gonna say we're gonna make them red or partially red, and then we're gonna select each individual light on the light right here. They might not be in order, but they'll turn on the lights. I'm just giving you a visual representation that these are working, and then the mechanism is going to work, and then you guys could copy this mechanism for yourselves on screen. What am I doing? So I kind of lost track because I was thinking I was going up and then not down. Okay, so it's pretty much going to happen here is we're going to pass the value onward to each of the 7 different switches. I never learned this in school, so I don't know where you're going to learn this in school. Possibly in game design school, because this is what it's for. It's a game design, or it's just a generic switch, you could say. How to set up a generic switch. But I think this is only for video games. I don't know how it is in real life. It could be the same way, I'm not sure. Okay, you see? I have those individual switches. Alright, the door will open, but now when the event happens, there's going to be, so we think it's false. Okay? But we're not sure, so to give me a visual representation, we're gonna have to say effect on and then we're gonna make an effect, which is a firework explosion. Okay, so we're gonna put the firework explosion here. Okay, so the firework explosion works. It means it's this interval. But have you noticed that the firework has that stupid effect afterwards? So then we're gonna fix that. We're gonna say after 2 seconds. 2 seconds something. It's gonna be boom. Off. There we go. It's done. And we don't want pumping intervals happening over and over again, so we're gonna say off. Okay, so it turns off the intervals. We don't have access amounts of intervals coming in, so the interval just passes as 1. So it doesn't crash the game. Our second load is, since if we don't want to hear the sound, we could just, you know, turn off the sound and the light source. We don't need it, it's in the air. The visual representation is there. Okay, so pretty much what's going to happen now is we know about the event. So what we're going to have is we're going to have an on event, right? And our sound event as well. So what we're going to have is we're going to have a multitask event. We're going to say on false. And on false, we're going to say sound and animation. And sound animation, and then we're going to have that. And we're going to get a simple animation. So we can usually go grab from examples here. We'll tilt it like this, and then we'll just say screw it. Grab this point of data, put it towards our door. And we want it to go down, so we're going to say ungroup. We're going to say -5, but we gotta change the position axis. I think it's position Y. We're just gonna do it like that, alright? And ease in. Okay. What happens if we say 4? And then if you want an exact animation, you can use a variable data source. Then we can edit animations in the decimals. So I'm guessing from the animation visual representation, it's going to be 3.80 something. Well, -380 something. And it takes a lot of time to animate, you see? You see, right on time, right on point, you see, then you have, so it's 385. Okay, so we don't want that though. We're gonna turn it off. And then we're just gonna select in point of data. And then for our sound event, we're gonna have another sound, right? And then we're gonna have a sound again. And we can also have another sound like this. And then we can have an interval trigger. right? And we're gonna have an off event. And what's gonna happen is we're gonna have a sound that goes alongside with the door, right? And then the boom effect after the door closes, you see? We're not gonna add the sound on the video, but then we have this coordination. Then you say, what's the time for here? It's 1 second, or how many is it? 3 seconds, and you just apply the same time frame as the other 3 seconds. So the door is gonna take 3 seconds to shut. So it's gonna, door is gonna take 3 seconds. It's gonna start, tack, tack. So it's gonna create that sound. It's gonna create a start sound. Then it's gonna create a flowing sound with the animation. So it's gonna play the same role. And then when the door comes to a stop, it's gonna make the stopper sound. So it's gonna be stop, stop, stop. And it's going to be like that, alright? And you get entire with a sound source if you'd like. Let's see if our mechanism works. Okay, so we're going to say... yeah, that is working. But that's not working. So that's how you make a switch. Gotta make sure that you're selecting the right area, because this can be a little hideous. It's going to give you a visual representation of what you're selecting. Now, if you're new to this, I'm guessing you would want to know, we're already like, are we really 17 minutes in? No, we're 15 minutes in, okay. But this takes a while. Alright, so we're just having a bunch of hit triggers, a bunch of color events, a bunch of set value events, and they're all coordinated to this brain object. This is going to be a comparison value, so you're going to set the comparison value to 7. So when 7 meets 7, it meets the same comparison value. We're making a comparison value. And then when comparison values meet, then that passes the main invert over. 7 switches open 1 door, yes. And we can do it equals and not equals. We could just convert it back with a switcher on this, and this is our switcher value. We tie the operation to the values. We have 4 values: equals, not equals, greater, not greater, or whatever. And then we increase or decrease. Obviously we cannot decrease, we can always increase and decrease, or increase and decrease. We can change our numbers, we can create like a slider values, and we can manipulate those with different value sources and stuff like that. So this is more like an advanced tutorial, but it's all numbers in the end. But all those numbers do something. You know what I mean? Because we're programming them, right? So we're gonna test out our programming, see if it works. So we're gonna hit this switch. For some reason this is not activating to red, I don't know why. Okay, so we activated 3 switches. Okay, they're activating on the opposite sides. Why? Okay, Why does it not work, dude? Sometimes they don't work, I don't know why. So that one's not working. Okay. So this one's not working. So we follow our point of contact. And voila, we found our error. You know why it's not working? I have no idea. So this specific one is not working. Why? Dude. Why don't you work? Maybe it is working, but we never... And then we have problems sometimes, because it doesn't work. Like, is there no collision on this? That's why. That's why there was no collision on it, dude. Obviously it's not gonna work. You see, boom. So you just gotta recheck everything, because you could just mess up one little piece of code and it's all over. You see, boom. Door's unlocked and you can go on through. Boom, finish. But when all 7 switches unlock, then you have a gate that passes on through. And then inside we can make the finish line. We're gonna do it real quick. So we'll just usually add an area trigger. Put it to this square, or when the shadow meets, right here. You always want a visual representation platform to finish. And then you just say, triggered by object instances ball. And then you just bring up the finish line. Boom. Let's do it again. You hit all the switches. Boom. These are the opposite, so my bad. The door opens, and then we finish. We're in the shadow. Boom. So that's how you make 4 switches to open, 7 switches to open one door. Properly. Using a generic filter. Alright guys, that is my tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll possibly see you guys in the future for another tutorial on another Pro Tool I learned. So I'm Saint Legend, and I'm out. See you guys.